Good morning. Today is Monday, August 17th, 2020. Our parsha this week is Shoftim, and it begins as follows. Shoftim v'shotrim titein lecha b'chol sharecha. You shall appoint Shoftim, judges, and Shotrim, those who enforce the law, what we call police today. You should appoint them in all of your cities. Asher Hashem Elokecha nesein lecha lishvatecha, that Hashem will give you to all of your tribes, meaning in the land of Israel. V'shavtu es ha'am mishpat tzedek, they should judge the people a judgment that is just, that is righteous. Lo satem mishpat, do not distort justice. Lo sakir panim, don't give preferential treatment to anyone. Lo sikach shokad, don't accept a bribe, because a bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and makes the words of the righteous crooked. Rather, famous pasuk, tzedek, tzedek, tirdof, justice must you pursue. And then the following phrase, Leman tichya, v'yarashta es haaretz, asher Hashem Elokecha nosein lach. In order for you to live, meaning to live a meaningful life, and to take possession of the land that Hashem is giving you, the land of Israel. So, living a meaningful life and taking possession of the land of Israel is conditional on having a just society. And that makes perfect sense, because in order to have a place, in order to live a meaningful life, there must be a just society. And a just society requires justice, it requires justices, and it requires those who will impose those judgments. And without question, one of the most beautiful jewels in the crown of Judaism and Jewish life is the Jewish system of law, the Jewish system of justice. It is a legal system that protects the rights of every person, equal protection of rich and poor, citizen and stranger, excuse me, and just about every subsequent legal system is in some way based on our system of Jewish law. That makes perfect sense. But Rashi makes a slightly different point, and it's a subtlety, but it's a subtlety that is worth paying attention to. Rashi says, Kedai hu minui hadayonim, haksherim, lahachios es Yisrael, ulahoshivon al admasan. It is worthwhile, it is appropriate, that the appointment of proper judges should be the merit by which we will be able to live a meaningful life in the land of Israel. Okay, kind of like what the pasuk itself says, Leman, in order that you should be able to live a meaningful life and take possession of the land of Israel. All of the previous verses of appointing judges and police, their qualities, their upright behavior, all of that is what allows for a meaningful life. But Rabbi Yerucham Levovitz points out that that's not exactly what Rashi says. Rashi does not say what the pasuk says. The pasuk says that having justices who are just and upright, and having police that impose just laws, is what gives us this merit. Rashi says the minui hadayonim, the appointment of the judges. In other words, who we decide is worthy to be honored as a judge or as a police It is the appointment, even before they have acted in their role, it is the appointment that provides that merit, because it is who we appoint for those positions that demonstrates our system of priorities as a society. Who do we choose to elevate? Who do we choose to honor? Who do we choose to appoint as role models? Even before they have begun to act in those roles, who we choose to elevate in itself is a reflection of ourselves and a reflection of society. Rabbi Yochanan Zweig points out the following. There's a fascinating detail of Jewish law concerning the way the Jewish judicial system was set up at the time when all of the laws of Jewish law were in application. And it goes like this. The Talmud says that every single town must have access to a Jewish court. And this applied during the time that the Jewish people entered the land of Israel, during the time of the first Beis Hamikdash, and the time of the second Beis Hamikdash, and a short time after that. But the actual time that the Sanhedrin, the court of 23 judges that was in every town, was in application, was approximately a period of about 1,400 years from the time of Moshe until just before the destruction of the Second Temple. Now, during that era, every town had to have a Sanhedrin. But let's just hold on a second. A town in Israel was defined as a place that had a minimum of 120 inhabitants. Okay, that's a very small town. 120 inhabitants. A Sanhedrin was a court of 23 judges. But not just 23 judges, because every Sanhedrin had 23 judges and 46 junior apprentice judges, for a total of 69 judges. So hold on a second. Every town of 120 inhabitants needed to have 69 of them judges or apprentice judges. That's an astronomically high proportion, especially in such a small town. I mean, you hardly have enough left over for a baker, a pharmacist, a doctor, whatever else you need. Why in the world should there be such a high proportion of judges in such a small town? All right, so the first answer is very simple, and that is people should be asking lots of questions. People should care to do the right thing and to ask lots of questions, and to do the right thing in every area of life requires easy and quick access to justice. So, proportionally, there needs to be lots of judges. Okay. But Rabbi Zweig suggests a deeper answer, and this is something that is very, very relevant to discussions that we're having today. Because a judge has two roles within a society, should have two roles within a society. One is decisions, to give answers to disputes, to resolve arguments in cases. But the other is to act as a person who is a role model for following the correct law. A judge not only is effective by rendering decisions, but also by creating an atmosphere where people will want to follow what those right decisions are. Because in every society, we require shoftim v'shotrim, judges and police. Now I'm going to more carefully define those terms in a moment, so hold on for what I'm going to say in a couple of minutes. But every society requires adjudicating a dispute, meaning coming up with the correct decision, the law, and then imposing it, enforcing it. If you just decide the law, but you have no vehicle to enforce it, you're going to have a problem in society. But here's the question, and this is a fundamental question that we are grappling with in our society today. What should be the balance between judges and police? In the sense that judges not only give answers about the law, but they also create an atmosphere acting as role models about wanting to observe the law. That needs to be the emphasis. Because here's the problem. If a society relies on enforcing the law, then society is going to be in a big problem. Because you can only enforce the law if people want to observe it. If people do not want to observe the law, they will find ways to get around any enforcement. So you really have two choices. You can either enhance the enforcement, meaning have so many police that are watching for every single crime that no crime can be committed, but that is unrealistic, because people will always find ways to avoid detection for crimes that they commit. Much more constructive is to work on creating a society where people have the right role models, where we create the correct atmosphere within society that people want to do what is right. Now, obviously, you need to have police to enforce laws, because you can't rely on the idealistic vision, which is also a long-term vision, of creating the right atmosphere and people wanting to do the right thing. So obviously you need both. And also, and this is where I want to qualify what I said before, obviously within our society, both judges and police serve both of those roles. Police also serve a role acting as role models and creating a positive atmosphere within society. So I'm not differentiating between the two professions that we have within our society, but I'm differentiating the two roles that all of those individuals play. And what you see, suggests Rabbi Zweig, what you see from this rule is that we need to place ourselves in a society where all around us others are doing the right thing. Others are upholding the law, standing for the law, acting as role models for doing the right thing. We need to make sure that we are surrounded by such people, that we are inspired by such people. That's where the merit comes. The merit does not only come by the actions of the judges and the police. The merit comes from every one of us choosing who should be the role models, who should be creating the atmosphere within our society. And when we choose the right people to create the atmosphere within our society, to be the role models that we will follow, then that is a crucial expression of our own personal individual character and also our character as a society. And that is what allows for our own personal moral and spiritual development and our development as a society. The introspection that we need to have, especially at this time of year, should be an introspection that looks not only at what are my actions, what are my words, what are my thoughts, but also where do I place myself? Who is surrounding me? In what environment do I put myself? Who are my role models? Who do we choose to elevate to help create the atmosphere of our society? Those are crucial questions we should be asking ourselves individually, and we should be asking ourselves as a society. My friends, I wish you a great day, and I look forward to seeing all of you soon in person.